For some winter fun, this year I organized an Abandoned Places rally. Drivers were given hints of various abandoned places throughout the area, and were required to find each site and take a photo, and submit them at the end of the day. The entry with the most correct photos won. The 2018 wheeling season started off in April for some of us, with a trip to Pennsylvania, including a stop by OK 4-Wheel Drive in Stewartsville, New Jersey. We said hi to Rin. We got a sneak peek at the new Mountain State Overland rig. We did some shopping. And maybe a bit of drooling too.
How tall are you, Rin?
Not this tall.
AEV facilitated the trip for our club, as Dave Schneider, one of our club members, is one of the top AEV dealers in Canada. Day 1 found us enjoying summer-like weather at Anthracite Off-Road Adventure Area. This park offered a nice variety of technical and scenic terrain to enjoy.
Having fun yet?
That was amazing!
Everyone, new and experienced, had a good time.
Pick them up. That's perfect right there.
Some spots were a bit tight for 4 doors. Dave caught his snorkel and Kate clipped the fender.
Whoa! There we go.
I can loosen a little bit. Here.
We got to use my brand new Max Tracks.
Turn on the leg. Brakes, brakes. Nope. Alright, stop right there. Stop. Perfect line. Maybe a little bit more driveway. There you go.
Looking back on this day, I'd gladly visit here again. On day 2, we headed to Roush Creek, and again, we were treated to summer-like weather. Members of our club have visited Roush Creek before, but most in this group had never been here. We started out with some fairly easy trails with a few interesting features.
Sorry, Brandon. The camera didn't start up there enough.
Yesterday and today, you can see, like, now we know where it takes.
Roush Creek is home to 3 Jeep Badge of Honor trails. We took on Crawler Ridge for the day's bigger challenge. In all, a fun day, but we could only cover a small portion of the park. A return visit is definitely in order. Thanks AEV for the tour. After the summer-like weather in Pennsylvania, it was a harsh return to a wintry southern Ontario. Wheeling season is officially here. Excitement is dampened a bit by the wet weather, but also by an early breakdown. Our day on Greens Mountain was still a lot of fun.
Oh, there's a tire.
One of the obstacles on this trail is called Superman. It's a bit harder than it may seem because you have to fight your instincts on it. Last time I took on Superman, I hit that scarred tree on the far side. Not today. However, Greens Mountain still managed to make its presence felt in other ways.
Brutal.
After tackling a hard trail the day before, a relaxing trip along the Minden Hydro Line was in order for day 2 of the May long weekend. Happy birthday, Canada! First up this weekend is an easier trail we haven't done in recent years, the Norland Trail. It appears that this trail is not regularly traveled given how overgrown it has become. We were perhaps the first Jeep group on it this year, as there were a number of downed trees across the trail that we had to cut and clear.
Somebody threw him extracts in his bottom so you can drive through.
Every trail we take leads us to one place. On day 2, one group of us checked out the uninteresting Hogsback Trail and then old logging, while another group tackled concession. Late in July, a group went to Minden Hydroline for a day of fun in the sun. The August holiday weekend saw groups go to 3 very different regions. The first group went to Minden, to the Beaver Dam Trail where we find Neil in a bit of a bog, and Patrick desperately avoiding paying a buck but providing considerably more than that in entertainment. A second group went to Rocks and Valleys in Michigan, but I was unable to acquire video footage of that event. The third group went to Roush Creek in Pennsylvania. Again, we were treated to beautiful weather, and we spent day 1 in the northeast part of the park. With green grass and leaves on the trees, the scenery was considerably different than in April, and the views from the tops of the hills were gorgeous. The trails were also completely different from April, thanks to record rainfall causing flash flooding during the week prior to this visit, which effectively renovated the trails with water-filled washouts. This made the trails much more interesting and varied, making for a very enjoyable day.
We were going to come up and go this way, but Fred decided to go back out again, go that way, because as you can see, we have a little bit of a issue here.
See what they mean. Compare Trail 40 here to our trip in April. This breakover is fun, disconcerting, but fun. Trail 34 was one of the harder trails we did, and it offered some technical climbs that were sufficiently challenging for the Jeeps, but a little much for the Toyotas. Randy makes it look easy.
Keep going. Rolling. Keep going. Good. Big rock. Have this on video. Right. Go. Yeah, baby. That's what Ruby does it.
Day 2 had one primary purpose: obtain badges of honor. First up, Crawler Ridge. Peter decides to put on a bit of a show. And Peter's up to his antics again. We then ventured on to Trail 11, another Jeep Badge of Honor trail, and found it also quite washed out, but we conquered it. This second trip to Roche Creek was just as full of fun and great people as the first trip, and the adventure continued as we drove through Allegheny National Forest on the way home. On Labor Day weekend, a few of us hit up the Black Lake South Trail, a trail I haven't done in over 3 years. I remember this trail as rocky and muddy. That hasn't changed. On day 2 of the weekend, another group hit up Minden Hydro Line.
The joys of lockers. The lockers were on, weren't they? No. Weren't they? You.
The last big off-road trip of the year is our Fall Colors Run near Perry Sound. With a fairly large group again this year, we split into 3 groups at Black Lake. My group did the Ardbeg South Trail. This trail is very scenic in the fall, and we are fortunate to be there during peak colors. A little past halfway, things got interesting as we had 2 recoveries in nearly the same spot. One, however, was a little more tricky than the other. But everyone got home, even if it was an interesting drive and a bit later than planned.
Yeah, we're...
Once again, the club participated in the Cambridge Santa Claus Parade. Every year before the season begins, the club hosts a Jeep 101 seminar to get new members ready for the upcoming season. Topics include learning how your Jeep works, basic modifications, trail safety and conduct, what to bring, and more. At the beginning of May, we also do a newbie run and guiding workshop to apply what we teach in a practical, hands-on environment. This year's session included a What's in Your Jeep demonstration, where we peered into Patrick's loadout. We wrapped up the talk with Dave and Peter giving a look under a couple Jeeps in the shop. Last winter, Dave and I presented a 4-week seminar series on overlanding. The first session covered the considerations for remote primitive camping. Session 2 covered sleeping setups with special guest Michael Gorov from Red Bear Outdoors. We looked at several trailers, tents, including Michael's Tepui rooftop tent, and other vehicle setups. Session 3 featured Kyle Leeds from AV, who discussed many vehicle-related overlanding considerations such as suspension and protection. We also looked at more sleeping options. Session 4 covered route planning and a demo of Gaia Maps presented by guest Michael Gorov. I gave an introduction to navigation apps, OSM and Motion X, and discussed a few additional pieces of overlanding equipment. Thanks to all who attended. In November, Dave and I presented a talk about the basics of building your rig for off-roading to help answer some of the questions often raised by newbies. Our charity Show and Shine fundraiser takes place every year in June in support of the Children's Wish Foundation. Thanks to our many sponsors and vendors who helped make 2018 one of the best years we've ever had. And of course, the fan favorite, the Car Crush. Bailey put on quite a show in the Rubicon.
And on the other side. The other end. Dropping.
Thanks to an outstanding show and shine and our fantastic sponsors this year, we donated $5,750 to the Children's Wish Foundation. Before summer is over, we get together for a barbecue to reminisce on the season. And, new this year, we dunk the new club president. See you all next year.